Now, the Gauteng Health Department has expressed its concerns about the increase in sexually transmitted diseases, which has been linked to a shortage of condoms in the province. The department says suppliers don't have enough stock as they continue to wait for SABS approval, for sample approval. For more on this, we're joined this morning by the co-chairperson of the SA National AIDS Council. Steve Letsike joins us via our video link this morning. Steve, thanks very much indeed for coming on. Incredibly worrying, this shortage of condoms, given that we've already, in the short space of the year, in the short space that there's been this shortage, seen an increase in STIs.
No, indeed. I mean, this is a significant worry. I mean, the increase of STIs was not only realized now because of shortage of condoms. This actually has been something that we've been monitoring for the past year. The Department of Health has released data that actually indicates that, South Africa, across the country, there has been an increase of STIs, and of course with specific districts across the country that demonstrate the challenge. Now, when you look at the issue of shortage of condoms, this perpetuates, the very same issues on how can we curb the new infection and reduce incidents in the country. And this is something that we are worried about and we are paying closer attention to as the National AIDS Council. You would also understand we've just recently launched the NSP that actually says that we must increase our effort in prevention efforts.
So, Steve, how did we get to a point where we are waiting for SABS sample approval and it's led to this shortage?
Well, I think, look, the technicalities of SABS approval, it's really solely around who are the manufacturers, who are the suppliers, and what kind of agreements they have. It solely cannot be what we have intended. Now, you would understand, in our previous NSP that just only ended now in March 2023, we had budgeted for 1 billion condoms, and which were purchased in the previous cycle, by the way. And there was usage, and there was a distribution of condoms. Many CBOs, organizations have been distributed. The challenge is the planning that goes with the suppliers, that goes hand in hand as well with what goes into getting the contract procured, procurement process, and making sure you supply. It is the responsibility, by the way, of the service provider to ensure that once you obtain a contract from government, that you need to be procuring and providing those products, you must provide them in time. And the issue now is that Department of Health is faced with the supply from their own suppliers.
This is not a new issue, Steve, which of course raises concerns around why we just can't seem to get this right, particularly perhaps in Gauteng. In 2017, 2018, it was Jack Bloom, the DA's Gauteng Health spokesperson. He also said there was a massive condom shortage in the province, and in fact he said what we needed was to appoint suppliers that delivered timeously. So what is it that we can't get right, and what is it about Gauteng that apparently, you'll correct me if I'm wrong here, means that this province is affected by this?
Well, I mean, look, December we had this conversation where we had a challenge of getting condoms supplied in Mpumalanga. And again, I want to emphasize that every province is experiencing its own challenge about what is available, what is delivered on time by service providers. You would understand Medicine Availability Forum, which I don't speak on behalf, have a tool that actually monitors products, whether ARVs, condoms, and so forth, whether depots have got enough stock. Indeed, the planning, or when you start running out, how do you make sure that you can actually replenish the depots so that partners, facilities, as well as organizations have got access to those condoms? I think, yes, Gauteng may be faced with a challenge of inquiry of that they need to be responding to, but at the same time, I know, having worked and having partnered and supported Gauteng, the effort that they are displaying in moving some areas, because it's not the entire Gauteng, some areas that are affected, How do we get condoms to those areas to make sure that they are covered? It's not the entire province. It's specific facilities and specific regions. We just need to get those condoms to those areas.
And it's in our interest as government to do so, right? To ensure that these deliveries are made. I imagine this lack of condoms, the results that come from this lack also puts potentially increased strain on healthcare services.
Well, it is in the best interest of our country. As the National AIDS Council, we pay closer look of attention on what we do. Remember, our agenda is solely to make sure that we reduce new infection. Our country already is facing high levels of incidence, just above 120,000 new infections annually. We cannot afford to have furthermore new infections. Our sole purpose as the AIDS Council, as one of our goals of the NSP, is to make sure that people in South Africa can have safer sex and use commodities that are already procured and they are provided freely by the government to the people of this country. So it's quite important that we take best interest, but also we encourage persons that are engaging in any activities of such nature, that they too take effort to prevent new infection. An STI is as a result of unsafe sex, and that's important, that a self-health better outcome is what we lead as people and lead a healthy lifestyle.
I suppose it would be remiss of me to not get your advice on, what communities need to do in the face of an absence of condoms. As you say, it affects particular areas in Gauteng. All right, we apologize. Steve, I think you muted yourself there. If you just want to push the unmute button and start again.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, now I've got you back. Go ahead.
Yeah, I believe the communities are already civil society, the structures, the sectors have been working day in, day out, using neighborhood agents, peer educators, peer-navigated approaches. And it's really important because HIV, AIDS, and TB response is not new information. It's actually packaged as we see science, as we see social response, that is educating us on what we need to do as individuals, what we need to do within our families, and also within the facility. So we need to reach out. We need to make sure that we understand that the usage of condom, the usage of other commodities such as pre-exposure or even post-exposure are there. Those products are there to help us to prevent new infections. But also even for young people who can delay sexual dating, it's quite important. So we have a key to really turn around the HIV epidemic as society. And then if we engage in any activity, we also have a key to make sure that we can respond and make use of the treatment available for us to treat any infections.
Certainly. Steve Letsike, let me thank you for your time this morning. Steve is the chair of the SA National AIDS Council. Thanks very much indeed for weighing in.